Hi everyone, hope you're doing well. I spent 5 days in the south of France and I managed to get some time to go retro game hunting. Stay tuned to see some of the games that I've picked up during my visit. Back in the seat. So I flew from Manchester to the south of France, and more specifically to Marseille. The reason why I flew from Manchester is because they had a direct flight, unlike Birmingham where it has some stoppages either in Paris or even Germany to get to Marseille. So I spent 1 day in Marseille and I spent half a day in Martigues. So my wife is actually French and her hometown is Martigues, which is I'd say about 20 miles away from the Marseille airport, and is about 25 miles away from Marseille's town, or city. Now Martigues is relatively small. It's very nice, but it's relatively small, and they do have a few retro games shops in Martigues. However, I primarily wanted to target Marseille for retro game hunting, and although Martigues did have a few stores in the local town, which has a population around, I believe, around 50,000 people, a lot of them were closed due to their Easter break. So I'll show you a clip of what Martigues looks like now, and I'll also put in the clip of the shop that I visited in Martigues. So as you can see, the name of the shop was Specialist something, I can't remember exactly, and it was a relatively small shop. One thing to note about when retro game hunting in France, especially with the shops, there's little room for negotiation. In my experience, there's always been little room for negotiation. Unlike the UK, if we go to a retro game shop and you buy lots of things, you can normally get a decent discount. But it's relatively uncommon from my experience that shops offer individuals discounts even if they buy multiple items. But I did manage to get a discount, and actually this first shop had really nice items in there. I think they also, in the video, there might have been their PlayStation 2 development kit, which was in the glass cabinet. I asked them if that was for sale, but he said no, it's just for display purposes. And anyway, I wouldn't be able to take that back because I only had a small hand luggage with the maximum weight of 10 kilograms. So during my visit, I was very cautious about what I'm picking up, and I'm not picking up anything too big that I can't actually take home. The first game is Obscure 2, and it's a PAL game. However, the back is in French, and I believe it's some type of horror game on the Wii. And that game was $9.99, and it was complete with the manual. The second game cost me $6.99, and that game was Tenku, or Tenshu, however you pronounce it, Shadow Assassins. Once again, on the back, this game was in French, but it's boxed and complete. So I'm happy to have this in the collection. Let's see the discs. I checked the discs already, and the discs are in mint condition. I'll probably upload some material. I'll probably upload some video of how those games play out. I picked up 2 Vita games. Now, both of these games on the back, on the covers, are French. However, they are PAL games, so there should be an option to play them in English. And the first game was $14.99, and that was One Piece Unlimited. So I think I've got this on the Switch actually. Haven't played it yet. That was $14.99, and the second game was One Piece again, but it was One Piece Burning Blood. One Piece Burning Blood, and that was 19.99 euros. I'm not too sure if I've been saying pounds, but everything is in euros, obviously. And I managed to get about 15% discount in the end, because I managed to speak to the owner of the store, who managed to give me a discount. 2 PlayStation 1 games, and these games are actually in English, so I was very happy. Although they're PAL and they're in France, their games are the same as the UK, so they're actually, the covers, everything is in English. And I don't own these games, and the cases and the discs are in really, really nice condition. The first game is Ninja Shadow of Darkness, and this was $29.99. I don't know if you can see the images on the back, what it looks like, and it was complete manual, really nice condition. So I'll have a look at that and probably upload some video of the gameplay as I'm talking about it now. The second PlayStation 1 game was $19.99, and that was Akuji the Heartless. Akuji the Heartless. Seems like a similar type of gameplay compared to Ninja Shadow of Darkness. That's the back.
You've discovered a voodoo spell.
And once again, because I'm not too familiar with these games, so the manual, everything's in English, but then the extra like leaflet, that's in French. Don't know anything about these games, haven't actually come across them in the UK, so I'm not too sure if they're actually rare or worth how much I paid for them, because I haven't checked out their actual prices. The most expensive item, which I picked up during the whole visit, and I was umming and ahhing whether I should get this because it weighed quite a bit and the condition wasn't necessarily the best, and it was marked at 330 euros. I think we got it down to 290 euros, which is probably about 240 pounds. And I won't get this out right now because everything's in order, but the box is in French. But the console itself, so it is 3DS XL, and it's the A Link Between Worlds version. And the console does have a minor scratch on the outer shell, but the screen is in mint condition, it is working, and as I mentioned, the box is in French. However, the console itself, if you read the writing at the back, it's in English, followed by French afterwards, so the core writing is still in English, which I was surprised about. So I tested it, worked it out, and I got this down to 290 euros, which I think is around 240, maybe 250 pounds. Now, I know that 3DS XLs have been increasing in price, and I thought this is something that I would remember, that I always purchase this from France, so I'm really happy to have this in the collection. So when I went to Marseille, I didn't actually take much videos of Marseille, the town itself. Marseille is it's a strange town for me because it reminds me very much of Birmingham itself. There are very nice parts and they're also from very dodgy parts just around the corner from the city centre. And I've spent quite a bit of time in Marseille over the years, and you can have a great time in Marseille. There's lots of places to eat, lots of tourists that go in there. There's a nice little port where a lot of the hotels are, and it's some really nice scenery, which I didn't take any videos of Marseille itself because I didn't really want to get my camera out. We were in a rush, so I didn't actually spend too much time making much videos outside of stores. So the first shop we went to in Marseille was Micromania. Now Micromania is a chain of stores. It's the best way I can describe it. It's like the old version of Game, where they're selling old games and they're selling pre-owned games. However, Micromania is actually unlike Game, they had a limit as in how old games they accept. I was really surprised to see that they even had PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, Nintendo Wii, 3DS games, Vita games. They had everything in there, secondhand obviously, with a huge selection of Nintendo Switch games. And the prices were relatively okay. I generally find prices in France are more expensive than the UK in terms of games. So I didn't really want to pick up French games where the covers were in French. So I only picked up one game from Micromania. And a point to note, there's about 4 different Micromanias in Marseille, but I didn't want to go to all 4. So I only went to one, and they also have one in Martigues, but when I went, it was closed during the Easter break. So I only went to one Micromania store. And the game that I picked up was a Nintendo Switch game, and that was Super Chariot. And I liked it because it had that special cover, cardboard sleeve, and it was only €11.99, which is probably about £10 for the game. And the writing on the back of well, it's in English, the first sentence in English, and then the rest is in French. So I'm not too fussed about that. It's the same with the outer sleeve. First writing's in English, followed by French afterwards. So I'm not too fussed that there is some French on it, and I was avoiding French games, French writing covers, but it's a game that I didn't have in my collection, and for $11.99 I didn't want to give it a miss. As you can see, the second shop we went to in Marseille, I can't remember the name, you'll probably upload a small clip of it being closed, was actually closed, even though it's meant to be open on Google Maps. And when I got to the location, they said they're going to open at 2:30, but it was already 2:50, so I was very surprised that they weren't open. And I actually called the store back after 2 hours, and there was no answer. So that store was unopened, so it's a bit of a disappointment. The second shop I went to was Cash Express. The best way I can describe this shop is similar to Cash Converter's Cash Generator. However, I was very surprised with the massive stock of games that they had. Now I'll upload the video now. video now, and you can see that they had a big variety of whether there was cartridge-based games. There were cartridge-based games in terms of they even had stuff on the DS, they had stuff on the Famicom, they had PlayStation 3, huge selection of Xbox 360 games, and I only managed to pick up one game from Cash Express, even though they had a huge variety of games. And it was a PlayStation Vita game, and it's a Vita game I've been looking out for a very long time. And from what I understand, the back has English and French on there. However, the front is in English, and when I'm looking for the PAL version of this, so I got the PAL version, I can't see major differences in terms of the cover. And it's a game which I actually purchased a lot of these games in the PlayStation 4 format, because I managed to get a big bundle deal back a few months ago. And it's a game which I actually loved on the PlayStation Vita, and I played it tons, and I almost completed it. I got this game digitally because I always found it difficult to get the hard version of the game, and that is Velocity 2X Critical Mask Edition. So I'll upload some footage of this game now, and it has like two types of gameplay. One is like a side-scrolling shooter where you have to get through the level as quickly as possible, and the other is a top-down where you're flying a spaceship and you have to maneuver, collect or shoot all the crystals, collect all the necessary items, and move as fast as you can throughout the level. Now this game has a unique system. There's like a teleporting system which allows you to transfer yourself, either in the platform levels or the flying levels, between walls to get to particular places. And I love the soundtrack on this game, so I'll upload a good amount of footage for this game. Now I checked on CEX and it's always out of stock, and this game is normally around £82 in CEX. Not too sure how much it goes for on eBay, but in the store they had it for €60, which works out to maybe £52, and I didn't want to give it a miss. So yeah, Velocity 2X Critical Mask Edition. Right, the next shop that I went to was actually a second-hand vinyl shop. CDs and vinyls, that's what they specialised in. However, I thought I'd just have a look to see if they did have any games, and I'll upload the footage now. And as you can see, they did have some games there, and they had, more specifically, they had steelbooks, which I was interested in. Now, I didn't want to get everything for all the games, all the steelbooks from the store, because I think they had a Call of Duty one, which I wasn't that fussed about. But the first steelbook I got was €8. I'll open it now. And it's on the PlayStation 3, and that is the steelbook for Prototype 2. And it's got the game in with the manual. So there's the manual, it's got the game as well. I'm not too sure if it was meant to come with anything else, but it was a really nice steelbook, as you can see on there, and it was €8. So there's a minor dent on the corners, but that's okay. For €8, I wasn't giving that a miss. The second steelbook is actually missing a disc, but for me that's no issue. These games are generally quite cheap, I believe, so I should be able to pick these discs up in the future. And that was Assassin's Creed 3, and that was the steelbook version. It's missing one disc, but I'll see if I can complete that on my own going forward for the PlayStation 3. And that was where was it? 11. That was €11. So 2 steelbooks picked up from this vinyl store. The next game I went to, I can't remember the name, I'll put it in the video, but it was massive. They had a huge selection of games there. I went through the prices, and the prices, for me, they were overpriced, but I was just intrigued with how many different games they had there. And more specifically, if you notice in the videos, there was a special cabinet where they had sealed Super Nintendo games and other Nintendo games. I can't remember exactly what they had there, but they're all sealed in the special plastic, I don't know how you say it, the plastic covers that some of the stores used to have. Now, all of these games were in French. There was a few reproduction boxes there, which I was not interested in. But I asked the owner to come up to open. He was happy to open up to let me have a look, but he said everything's sealed on this shelf. It's not for sale. There's no prices on there. They're not for sale. So I went through the N64, went through the Super Nintendo games, went through the PlayStation Vita game, PSP games, and the store was great. I got lots of footage which I'm probably playing to you now, but I only actually picked up one game from this store, and this is the last game which I picked up in my visit, and that was because I don't have it, and from what I understand the box is the same as English versions, because the writing's in English first, followed by multiple different languages. So I was happy to have this. The box needs some work, as in there's some stickers on there which I'm going to have to get the hairdryer out and try to take them out. And that game was Super Drop Zone. Super Drop Zone, not a rare game whatsoever, and it was only €25. It's probably about £21.50. So for a box complete Super Nintendo game, I wasn't going to give this a miss. So it is complete. Let's look at the cartridge quickly. No real yellowing to it. There was some hint, but I wouldn't say it's yellowed yet. Warranty card and the manual. And it's a Psygnosis game, and I don't know which year it was released in, but I think it was an early release. Let's see, no, it's actually a late release, 1994. So one of the relatively later Super Nintendo games. And finally, this is a shop which I didn't pick anything from. However, they did have a decent variety of games, and I'll upload the clip now. So as you can see, big shop, big variety of old games to new games. But just for myself, there wasn't, even though the prices at this store was actually okay, and they were really happy for me to film inside, the prices weren't too over what I'd usually pay for games. However, there was nothing that was standing out to me at this particular shop. I did want to go to two more retro game shops in Marseille, but they were both closed. And I tried to visit them again, but because I was visiting family, I didn't have enough time to actually get to these stores. So I think we visited around 5 retro game shops, or some of them are second-hand shops in total. And although I didn't get to see quite a few of the other retro game shops, it gives you an overview of the shops in the south of France. When I go back to visit my wife's family again, I'll try to be more prepared in terms of which shops I want to focus on going and taking more videos for you in the near future. We go 2 to 3 times a year to see her parents, and they come here as well. But my wife's grandmother is there, and she's quite old, so we go there quite often to see her as much as possible. But I will be visiting the south of France again. If you've enjoyed this video, please comment on the video, comment on whether you've been to the south of France, comment on any European countries you've been to and what are the game stores like there. Are the prices generally higher? I often find European retro game hunting is more expensive than retro game hunting in the UK, but I haven't been to all European countries, so I may be wrong. Comment on any of the games that I've picked up, whether you have picked them up, or if there's anything in the videos which you've seen which I've missed out, let me know. And if you've enjoyed the video, please do give it a like, and I'll be uploading more pickups in the next few days, pickups from Vinted and eBay, and please subscribe to the channel. Thank you for tuning in.